What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, the Carolina Collector. Before I begin, I want to say thank you so much to all my viewers, my subscribers, my supporters, friends, family, neighbors, everyone across the board. You are absolutely amazing human beings. If you like what you see and you enjoy the content, I appreciate it if you would subscribe. The channel is growing every day because of you. Smash that like button, comment in the comment section below, and hit the bell to receive notifications. Also, if you're interested and you want to help to support the channel financially, I have an eBay store called the Carolina Collector 001. The link is in every description box of every video that I upload here on YouTube, including my YouTube shorts, where I've been selling loose sports cards. As a matter of fact, I have processed 5 orders that I received last night and today. So the weather looks kind of crummy outside. It is really soupy outside and humid. It's supposed to be like 80 degrees today, but we have a lot of overcast. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'm able to get these out to you today. I'm going to try. But thank you. I will be listing some more cards. Hopefully, I'm trying to push myself to list at least 6 to 12 cards every single day, and because I do everything myself, it takes time. I have to, set everything up and make sure the cards are, properly photographed and everything is in order. I actually had to make a couple corrections today because I double listed 1 or 2 cards, and I had to recomp a few cards as well. But go check it out, guys. Anyway, Geoff, old Geoff Wilson, he just won't stop. I think he's really doing this as clickbait to generate views for his channel, because the more views you get, especially a guy with the channel his size, if he's monetized, which I'm sure he is, the more vomit that comes out of his mouth, of course, the more people are going to watch that stuff. Michael Jackson knew it. Negative press is still good press. And I think he's doing this to just generate views. It's got to be clickbait. I've already talked about box breaking and what I believe this is. This is the new program from Topps and Fanatics. This is essentially a job application. You can read all of that stuff right there. I'm not going to go into this again. I uploaded a video about this recently, and you can check out all of that, what the definition of box breaking is and all that kind of stuff. Now, as a collector first, seller next, I want these boxes of cards. I've talked about this on the channel. Here's where Geoff completely loses his mind. He's goofy. Last year, I tried to get 2 boxes of Chrome Sapphire. The money was taken out of my account. I think it was like 900 and change or something like that. Yes, I'm still salty and bitter because those were my cards. I bought them fair and square. But Topps ended up depositing the money back into my account, and I got an alert on my phone that there was activity on my phone, so the security alert went off. They refunded my money. I'm like, what the hell is this? I had those cards. They were paid for. The money was taken out of my account, and they instantly refunded my money. Now, I understand. I know some of you already are going to start clickety-clacketing on your keyboards, but I know certain card sets have limited runs. I understand certain card sets have limited production. Fine. I get that. But the money was taken out. The cards were paid for. I messaged Topps, pissed off, like those are my cards. But it's because of things like this now that are now shifting the supply towards breakers and LCSs. And now, little people like me can't get this stuff because now the allocation is being directed most likely to the breakers and the LCSs now. So, it's nice for Geoff Wilson to flip his money around. Every time he uploads a video, he talks about thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in cards. Do you have that kind of money? I know I don't. You know how much in cards are here in these envelopes for my customers? Maybe $20 at most. Some cards do sell for $100, $200, $20, $50 here and there, but I'm not making a ton of money. Not like he does. Remember, he has a data business or whatever it is that he buys into data or whatever it is, and then he moonlights as a collector, a sports card collector. He treats this thing like the stock market, and that's what pisses off a lot of people because it artificially creates scarcity and rarity where it doesn't exist, in my opinion. It's easy here. I'm just going to grab any random card off my desk. Here's a James McCann hot dog fractor, okay, from Topps. I can go out there right now if I was Geoff Wilson and really hype up this card. You watch everybody start going nuts trying to get these. And that's the downside of all of this, when he starts talking like the way he does. You know, and you have a lot of greedy assholes that are out there in this hobby that really are not true collectors. They only get these cards to buy and then resell for 2, 3, 4, 5 times what they're truly worth. They're flippers, they're scalpers, that's what they are. Now, some of you I know are breakers who, you know, watch a channel and comment every so often. You know, listen, I have an eBay store. You know, I'm a collector first. I pull the cards that I want and I want to keep. Sometimes, you know, I'll make a decision where it's like, okay, I really don't feel like collecting this. Let me just sell it off for, you know, to somebody who you know, really wants it. Or maybe I have a higher end card. Like, you know, obviously I've been really pumping out a lot of Shohei Ohtani's, you know, on my eBay stores page, because I've got, you know, his batting rookie from Bowman. And I also have the out of 5 red from the Mitchell and Ness set from the 2023 Topps Lids Chrome set. So I've got 2 high power cards of his, you know, and I really don't want to have so many cards in my personal collection. There's select cards that I want, you know, but I'm not baller like that. How many of you, you know, normies, you average Joes, simply want a box of cards? Maybe you break your ass all week and you can just barely afford to buy a box of cards. And then when, you know, Fanatics or Topps releases, you know, the pre-orders, you can't even get the pre-orders in, because these guys, these breakers and the LCSs, they sit in a circle. They probably have multiple phones or multiple computers, and they essentially DDoS these websites. And the allocation instantly goes to them, especially if they signed up for this. Now, the only exception to my gripe are those who buy their own boxes and you know, do that. I still don't really agree with it, but then again, you know, everybody wants to make a buck. I understand that. But are some of these breakers true collectors, or are they just buying to sell? In other words, it's a lottery, it's gambling. You might as well just go to Las Vegas, or go to one of these, you know, small-time casinos, you know, throughout, you know, this depraved republic that we live in. You know, all it really is just another form of gambling. You're paying some schmuck to sit in front of a camera to open up a box of cards that you can easily open up yourself. You know, I don't have hooks. And again, I'm not making fun of people that are crippled or disabled or anything like that. I don't have hooks. I don't have robotic hands. My hands seem to work fine. I can hold up these envelopes. I can open up a can of tuna. I can pour myself a beer. You know what I mean? Here, I can wipe my face off with my hands, so I can do these things on my own. They're fucking cards. But now everything, you know, I honestly, like I said, I buy and sell. So somebody could, you know, throw that back in my face. That's fine. But I'm not a traditional breaker. I collect the cards. I take the cards that I want, put them in my PC. I might sell some again if there are certain players that I just don't want to collect. And then I'll put them out there and sell them just to bolster my collection. And I'm constantly changing my personal collection. And whatever I make goes right back into the hobby. In particular, you know, like recently I had to buy more envelopes, more armalopes for, you know, my orders. So it goes right back into the hobby. You know, and plus I'm taking a bit of a break because, you know, you got to be responsible because you can spend yourself broke. But when you got people like Geoff waving his money around talking about, he only cares about profit. He does not care about the cards. He may have a room in his home somewhere where he has a huge collection of cards. You know, I've got a personal space. I would love to put a display of some of my slabs up on the wall. Like Junk Wax Hero has something like that in his videos. He's a great content creator. Go check him out. He always does Sunday news, and you know, he has a really good grasp on the hobby. You know, spitballing cards and all them guys. Those guys are true collectors. Even to a point, like I love Striker Breaks. All right, the reason why I like Striker Breaks, he's not just a breaker, so to speak, but he actually contributes in a way that I just don't have the time for, where he puts out statistics, pack odds. He does the legwork. He does the research. And he's worthy of my attention because he does that, just like spitballing cards and blabbing about slabbing and Scotty B and all them guys, Dan the Card Man. You know, even when Sports Card Radio was here on YouTube, they unfortunately, you know, they called it quits, which sucks. You know, but they would have their hot takes and keep an eye on all the bullshit that goes on. And they were very good at calling out Geoff Wilson. Too bad, guys, that you weren't back here on YouTube, because he is just on a tear. You know, my gripe about box breakers, at the end of the day, it's when these releases go out and they buy up everything. This happened with Topps Chrome last year. It's not just Sapphire, with me trying to get Sapphire last year. The simple fact of the matter is, the big chase was Paul Skeens last year. Remember that, with the 1-of-1 patch auto that now is sitting in a display, you know, which is crooked, and all this, people are like bitching that the thing is off center in its display. Fine. But that was the big chase, and as a result, what was happening with all them Topps Chrome boxes, and I opened up a whole bunch of them here on the channel, I was able to get them at cost, at discount actually, from my local Barnes & Noble. They just happen to have some boxes of Chrome, and I bought them up because I have an account with them. And then I decided, against my own will, to go to a third-party LCS on the Shop app, and bought a couple more boxes, about 1.5 times what the boxes were worth. Got some decent pulls out of them, but, you know, nothing amazing or immaculate. But still, it's like, you know, this is what the hobby is now, unfortunately. It's nothing more than a cash grab. You know, and people that want to enjoy these cards are not able to. Why do I have to pay some asshole to open up a box of cards for me when I can do that myself? I'm speaking strictly now as a collector. You know, I want these boxes of cards. Again, I mentioned what happened with Sapphire last year. The money was taken out of my account. Those 2 boxes were mine. They should have been shipped to me. But then, of course, because of stupid stuff like this, which Geoff Wilson uploaded a short about promoting this thing, the allocation is going to go somewhere else. And everybody else is going to be left with the crumbs. Or we're going to have to go out there and rely on some schmuck to buy cards off of. You know, again, you can criticize me because I do buy cards and I do sell cards, but I'm a collector first, seller next. So I can open up as many cards as I want, and open up as many packs as I want, open up as many boxes as I want, you know, without having to go through a third party to do so, you know? And I try to make my prices as cheap as humanly possible. You know, I've had to recomp some cards again today, as a matter of fact. But, you know, the simple fact of the matter is that, you know, when it comes to the supply of these cards, because of this, where do you think the allocation is going to go? To the breakers and to the LCSs, and the rest of us are going to be stuck with the leftovers, and we're not going to be able to get product. Especially if you're a YouTube content creator like myself that reviews multiple things from multiple hobbies, from different aspects of these hobbies. You know, I talk about Transformers, I talk about jerseys, hats, sneakers, sports cards, you know, so I need product to talk about, and plus I'm a collector, so, I mean, I got a whole thing of Transformers right here on my 9 o'clock. I actually have a He-Man figure I like to do a review of, as a matter of fact, and dig into my backlog. Excuse me. But he's way out of touch, again, talking about, you know, box breaking is not evil, or is box breaking evil, and all that kind of stuff. Again, if you are a breaker that buys your own boxes, you know, from, you know, your local card shops and stuff like that, and you're trying to make money, I get the hustle. A lot of you are like me, you know, you want that extra money in your pocket. Let's face it, a lot of it is turned into a business. But the true collectors get fucked, because now we have to rely on third parties to get these cards. You know, like again with the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie I got. Thank God I pulled a Barry Bonds auto on my channel here. I didn't have to pay over $1,000 to some guy out there. You know, I like good deals too. I'm somewhere in the middle with all of this, you know, because I look at it from 2 points of view. You know, I am a small business owner. I do own an LLC, you know, and I want to put back into the hobby, and I try to do my best to make these cards as cheap as possible. But, you know, I feel like I don't have to pay another person to open up a box of cards for me. I want to collect because I'm a collector first. And I think he misses the point with all of this stuff. Real collectors, true collectors want this stuff. And many of us don't want to pay another guy to do what I can do myself. Many of you may feel like that with my eBay store. That's fine too. You have every right to point the finger at me. But I fear that what's going to end up happening, and again, I'm not bashing box breakers. I know everybody has their feelings about breakers. With me, the main issue is the allocation of product thanks to shit like this. This is a job application. Every time a release comes out, we have to literally fight and claw and scratch to get these products. I had people criticizing me about my Nike Air Jordan 4 white cements that I ordered from Soul Priorities, which there is a physical store right here where I live, right, maybe a half a mile from here. I didn't want to deal with the fighting. I didn't want to wait online. I didn't want to deal with all this, song and dance and, I got this and I got that and people posturing and, I didn't want to deal with any of that stuff. That's, I avoided all that crap. Unfortunately, it cost me more than what I wanted to pay, but at least I got the sneakers because I love the sneakers. I'm a collector first. I wear the sneakers. Some sneakers, I wear more than others. Some sneakers I wear less than others. But at the end of the day, I wear my shoes. I want the shoes. I didn't want to go through a third party, but they left me no choice because especially here in my area, that mall that I go to here in South Charlotte is packed all the time. I really don't want to waste my time arguing and fighting and pushing and shoving for clothing. It's just the allocation of where these cards go is my biggest gripe. It happened with me with Topps Sapphire. That if you signed up for any kind of account with Topps or Fanatics, you are going to be allocated to first before anybody else. That is a fact. It's an undeniable fact, and that's what this is right here. That's my biggest problem with box breakers. I could do the same thing. I can abuse my LLC, buy 15 boxes of Topps right now if I wanted to, and do a live stream. Okay, Johnny something, hey, how's it going? Buy into my box break at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and pay me to do what you can do with your own two hands and open boxes. That's my problem. I can do this stuff myself. Why do I have to pay somebody else to open up a box of cards when I can do it? But that's really not the problem I have. The problem is the allocation of product. And Geoff is clearly trying to push sports card collecting as a business. Doesn't anybody just take these cards and look through them and enjoy them and just read the stats on the back of these cards and just take it in? The cards I sell are cards. It's not that I'm not interested in them. It's because I may have slabs or maybe I have autographs of those players, or maybe I'm not collecting that particular player, and then somebody out there may want those cards. But I'm a collector first before anything else, before I'm a seller. And I really take the time to look through my cards. Like there's a hot dog fractor of Shohei Ohtani over at my eBay store that I have listed for like $30, $39, whatever it is, because some of them cards out there are like $45, $50. Of course, I came down on my price and recomped that particular card. But like I said, I already have the Shohei Ohtani Bowman Chrome batting card. I also have the 2023 Topps Chrome Lids Mitchell, and that's red out of 5. So I picked and chose which one I wanted, or the two that I wanted, and I decided to let go of the hot dog fractor. That's being a collector. That's making certain collecting decisions. And also it becomes a business decision at the end of the day. He doesn't understand any of that. People like you and me are small potatoes. He can wave around, look at me, $20,000. Look, $100,000 trade. Can you do that? I can't. Look at how long it took for me to get that Ken Griffey rookie. Or my Don Mattingly Topps rookie. I got lucky I pulled a Barry Bonds. The rest of the cards I'm lucky I got my hands on. What it took for me to grind to get those cards, I consider myself to be quite fortunate. Can any of you go on YouTube right now? Unless you're making uber bucks here on YouTube as a content creator and you want to flaunt all that stuff. I mean, I'm not going to take away, again, you want to make your money, you're allowed to. This is a capitalist society where you are allowed to be a bit of an entrepreneur, but at the same time, he goes too far with his takes, and he forgets that there are little people out there who want these boxes of cards and can't get them because of the greed that's out there. It boils down to greed. And now with things like this, when Topps Chrome comes out later this year, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get any, because with this and because of this, I don't know. I don't even know if it was worth it to get back into the hobby anymore. Oh, Geoff. You really, really are missing the point, aren't you? Not everybody has the kind of money you have. And it's an introduction into the hobby. Any jerk-off can go to Walmart or Target and pick up a box of cards. But unfortunately, because of the promotion of investing in cards, look at what's happening in the Pokemon TCG space, where guys are going to Costco, fighting and arguing and tripping over each other and pushing and shoving. I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't want to deal with that. That's not how I operate. I'm too old for that stuff, and I really don't feel like getting into violent conflicts with people. It's stupid, pathetic, and ridiculous. Understand? How hard is this to understand? But again, he's got money and he can flaunt it around and rub it in your face is about $20,000. Remember that stupid series he was doing where I'm going to open up a pack a day until I pull a $5,000 card or something like that? Can you do that? Probably not. Here again, like I said, I opened up plenty of flagship here on the channel earlier this year. I'm taking a break, because I have to look at my finances, and you have to stop because you can spend yourself homeless, spend yourself broke. Again, there's a famous story going around. Dan the Cardman talked about this. Many other content creators talked about this. This guy, spent or is in $300,000 debt because of his obsession for sports cards or basketball cards. You want to end up like that? I used to be in serious debt. I was homeless at one time. I don't want to end up like that again. I got to be careful what I do with my funds. So if I see it's getting to a certain point where I'm spending more than I'm taking in, it's time to stop. Does Geoff understand that? Probably not. It's nice when you sit on top of the money heap. But for the rest of us, I guess, little people, doesn't matter to him. There's something that has been lost in this hobby. The simple charm of picking up cards and just looking for your favorite players and being a fan. Here, I'm a fan of the Yankees. I'm wearing an Aaron Judge jersey that I patched up. This is the limited player version. This is a 9/11 hat right there with the memorial patch on it. I'm a fan first. He may brag about himself being a Florida Gators fan, but at the end of the day, the simplicity of doing this and just taking a step out of reality for a couple minutes and getting away from stress and worrying about the bills, and you're probably having problems, in your life that are hard to handle. Like I got my father in the back of my brain. I worry about him every day. It's nice to have a distraction. And people like him forget that. So if I were you, I think Sports Card Dad right now is doing a live stream or doing something right now as I'm recording this video. Remind Geoff Wilson that, yeah, he's got money and he can flaunt it around all he wants. But at the end of the day, for the rest of us small potatoes, little people, that are down here picking up the crumbs in this hobby, stop rubbing it in our goddamn faces. And again, I'm not knocking box breakers. You are entitled to make money just like I'm entitled to make money. I understand the hustle. I get that as an eBay seller. But he's encouraging this hobby to turn into a business venture. And people that just want to sit there and look at their favorite players and just put card sets together. Like I have a big bookshelf here with Transformers and He-Man figures. It's nice to just reach over once in a while when I feel stressed to grab one of my favorite toys or collectibles, whatever it may be, and just sit there, futz around with it a little bit, and take myself out of reality just for a few minutes, just to clear my head. That is what the hobby is all about, what it's supposed to be about. Parallels, autos, relics, $20,000. And it's like, calm down, Geoff. Not everybody is sitting on a heap of money like you do. I'm your host, the Carolina Collector. Take care, everybody.